For nearly 4 years, McFarlane Toys has had a DC Multiverse license, and within that 4-year span, one thing collectors kept asking for was a classic or traditional Wonder Woman. Well, look no further as we finally got one by way of the collector edition line. Now the question we have to ask, was it worth the wait and the hype? Let's find out. So as you heard in the beginning of my dialogue there, yes, McFarlane Toys has a DC Multiverse license for nearly 4 years. And yes, that's 4 years when you count it, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. For those 4 years, collectors were clamoring for a classic Wonder Woman, and it's no secret why. If you take a look at the very first wave of figures, while they're not your traditional or classic versions of Superman and Batman with the Action Comics 1000 Superman and the Detective Comics 1000 Batman, they still hold true to some of the traditional aesthetics in terms of these characters. With the exception, I don't know, this Batman for Wave 1 was a real miss for me just because the logo was too big and it had a small head. The proportions didn't look right for the body. Action Comics 1000, actually, I still prefer this look over all the other Supermans that we've gotten so far. But ironically enough, the very first Wonder Woman we'd see was in the year 1 of the line with the Wonder Woman 84 movie to coincide with it. However, we didn't get a classic Wonder Woman, but we also didn't get a comic book Wonder Woman until the following year with The Last Night on Earth Batman, and then the things that followed suit were just other variants of Wonder Woman. And it's no secret that fans are very vocal. So every time McFarlane Toys posted a photo of a new reveal or a new figure or something getting announced, common theme in the comments would always be, when are we getting classic Wonder Woman? When's classic Wonder Woman? And I understand that. In my opinion, I'm kind of glad we waited just because I'm imagining how Wonder Woman would look in Wave 1 of these figures. And if you saw the female figures in Wave 1, they were a lot to be desired because they weren't as good as they are now, in my opinion. So fast forward to 2023 or the end of 2023, and we finally have a classic Wonder Woman by way of the collector edition line. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the figure and see if it lives up to hype and if it's worth the $30 price point. All right, here's Wonder Woman out of the box. And before I proceed, this, like when you look at all this accessories and a lot of plastic, this is what the collector edition line should entail or should be the standard. You have multiple sets of hands, weapon accessories, and all that stuff. But just from the optics, just looking at first-hand look, this is what the collector edition line should look like. But to delve deeper on the accessories, though, she does come with 2 additional sets of hands. 3 sets total, so you have a pair of fisted hands, splayed open hands, and gripping hands. So Wonder Woman does have 4 weapon accessories. She has the sword, which I believe this is being reused from the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman. The shield, which I believe is also being reused from the Todd McFarlane designed Wonder Woman. And then the axe and the string, or the rope, which is actually real material, which is kind of cool. Last time we saw that was a Dick Grayson Robin. The one thing I will say about these weapon accessories, they really do have a nice gold paint finish to them. And then of course you have the DC base plate, and the controversial card stand right there. And just like all DC Multiverse figures from McFarlane Toys, she comes with a data file card. Now, with the collector edition line, of course, it's a little bit more premium, I guess you could say. Has the glossy finish and has that shiny hollow font right there. But on the back is the data file. Feel free to pause it if you want to go ahead and read it. All right, now let's take a look at the figure itself, and we'll get started with the head sculpt first. So, to me, the head sculpt looks fine. I know there's kind of like a mixed bag from the community. Some people don't like it, some really do. I think it looks fine in my opinion. It does resemble Wonder Woman. The one thing I really do like is like the blue shading in the hair. I think that's awesome. Capture kind of like that blue streak aesthetic that they have in the comic books. They did a really good job sculpting that and painting it on there. I think for this, the head sculpt looks fine to me, but it could have definitely used an additional head sculpt with a more expressive one. But to me, it looks fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, take a look at the rest of the figure. I do really appreciate the look and aesthetic. It does capture that traditional Wonder Woman or classic Wonder Woman essence, but there are a few things I do notice, like the legs I believe are being reused from the Crime Syndicate Superwoman. The reason why I bring that up is I never really was a fan of the articulation cut from that figure, and you can see why. It just looks broken up. Another thing is, this isn't really a nitpick or critique, it's just like it kind of stops right there at the streak from the ball joint. I know they probably could have painted that, but it would have been tedious, but that's just little nitpicks. That's fine to me. It's more so I'm not really a fan of the legs just because of the way it's broken up at the knees. Another thing I do want to point out is the torso. I'm not going to delve into articulation because it's your standard McFarlane one, but the torso is a solid piece, and it's not a rubber overlay because you can feel the sculpt, like the actual torso in there. So there's no crunch right there. And that kind of like throws me off, because if you look at the Wonder Woman 84 classic Wonder Woman figure, there's a cut at the torso. So she can move her, there's a diaphragm joint, she can move it around. I don't know why they didn't do that for this figure. They're perfectly fine doing it for that, which looked fine, but not this one, which I feel like they should have went all out and made a joint right there. There is a ball joint at the hip, but you really don't get much forward movement. You get a lot of back movement, but not much crunching forward, which is definitely, damn, that could have made a huge improvement in my opinion. But it does suck that they didn't decide to add the joint right there. All right, now I got the articulation and cuts out of the way. Everything else in terms of the paint application on here looks perfect to me. I do like the shiny silver they use on the gauntlets, and then of course the shiny red that they used for the torso, and the gold belt as well. It just overall looks great paintwork wise, and the head sculpt, like I said, looks good. We could have used an expressive one, maybe a gold label variant somewhere down the line. Now I'm just going to jump right into size comparisons, and first size comparison, we're going to do a couple of these. Get your DC Trinity fix from McFarlane Toys. We're going to do her standing next to Superman and Batman, so I have the Action Comics 1000 Superman and the Nightfall Batman. Now, she is taller than both of these figures. The only thing is, I'm not sure what your preference is. I tend to think that maybe Superman and Batman might be the same height or taller than her, but let me know what you think in the comments below. And next size comparison, here's Wonder Woman sitting next to a couple Hush versions of Batman and Superman from the DC Multiverse line. And as you can see, Batman stands about the same height. Superman has I modded it with the longer neck peg, and he's still shorter than Wonder Woman. I was going to say, but maybe the same height, but no, he stands like slightly shorter than Wonder Woman. I do hope they are working on a newer body mold for Superman, one that preferably scales better with these two. In next size comparison, here's Wonder Woman standing next to a couple other Wonder Woman variants in the DC Multiverse line. We have the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman on the left, and the Flashpoint Wonder Woman on the right that I've kit bashed with the Todd McFarlane design Wonder Woman head sculpt. And it's crazy to me because as I was mentioning that torso cut, they did it for the Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman. Again, something I really wish they would have done with this figure. Next size comparison, here's Wonder Woman standing next to a couple other female figures from the DC Multiverse line that we've gotten this year. We have the gold label Supergirl on the left, and the Donna Troy figure from the collectible Beast Boy wave. And next size comparison, here's Wonder Woman next to the current Wonder Woman I have in my display, mainly because I was waiting for this one. But here she is next to the DC Direct Jay Lee designed Wonder Woman, and it looks awesome. It served its purpose, but now I'm happy we have this. And now time for a random ass size comparison, but keeping it with the McFarlane Toys banner, here she is next to some My Hero Academia figures. We have Deku, not Todoroki, and Ochako.
I shit in heart.
Alright, so my overall thoughts on the figure. I like it a lot. Was it worth the wait? Yes, because I can only imagine how a year one Wonder Woman would have looked given the parameters of how the Wave 1 female figures looked. So in essence, I'm glad we waited. Now the only thing is I do have to be honest and be a little bit critical here. I know it might not matter to some collectors out there, but when you're doing toy photography, articulation does come into play. I just wish they would have added a cut or a diaphragm joint at the torso right here, just because we've seen it on Donna Troy. We saw it on other Wonder Woman figures. I don't like how they didn't really go all out and do that for this figure. However, they did go all out with all the accessories. Like I mentioned earlier, that's what the collector edition line should be. All these accessories, a lot of plastic, a lot of offerings, and overall good sculpt and paint work, which this figure definitely has. But let me know what you think in the comments below. YouTubers, are you going to be picking this up? Did you think this was worth the almost 4-year wait now? Sound off in the comments below. And like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.